Hey, everybody. Good morning. Belinda Wasser here from the VA Connection. I am coming to you from snow-covered Connecticut. I'm looking out the window. I don't know how many inches we got, but when I was out there in my boots, so what's that, like 8 or 10 or something like that, and it was really snowy, let me tell you. I foolishly thought I'll just grab I have this garden cart and I put all the food and feed and stuff in there. And I thought, oh, I'm just going to grab that and roll it across the yard. And I got about 2 feet and realized that I was dragging it and I'm not strong enough to do that through the snow. So anyway, it was kind of a thing. And so how the chickens live is they have their coop where they sleep. And then there's this little door and they run down this, it's like a little ladder. It's a board and it has other pieces of wood, like so that they can like catch their feet. And the whole thing was in both coops were covered in snow, and there was snow drifts inside the run. So they have like this giant, it's like a screened-in porch. It's really big, like it's like 20 feet long and 8 feet wide, and I can stand up in there. And and they have all kinds of places to sit. But anyway, there were snow drifts, and the little chickens, who are actually huge, have never seen snow before. So I shoveled a lot of the snow out. I raked it. I'm doing this in my pajamas with sweats over it and snow boots. I'm raking the snow because I want them to see the sand, because if it's all white, they're not going to come out. Anyway, it was a whole thing this morning, and it was actually, it was kind of fun to be out in the snow. We didn't get much snow last year, and I really like snow. But and eventually the little chickens came out. I coaxed them out of the little hole. The big chickens, 2 of them were okay. The rest of them were not having it. So hopefully they'll come out later today. I'm going to go check on them. But yeah, so snowy Connecticut. So welcome to Is Being a Virtual Assistant for You? This is one of my favorite talks because I think it removes the myths of what being a virtual assistant is. I think a lot of people have questions, and I think they have preconceived notions about being a virtual assistant. And I think a lot of those preconceived notions get in the way of taking that first step on the journey to being a VA. So today what I want to do is I have 7 questions that I've come up with. Let me just get the comments organized here. I have 7 questions that I have as just sort of a guideline. Today is really all about you getting your questions answered, and there's nothing off limits. All right. So I would love any comments to go in the chat box while we're getting sort of warmed up here. If you put where you're coming in from, that would be great. I see the live number increasing, which is awesome. Looks like we have a nice, healthy crowd. So, all right. So before, so I want to tell you my story. A lot of people are new to the group. The group is growing very rapidly. I'm thrilled to see how many people are attracted to being a virtual assistant. And the first thing I want to tell you is the market is not oversaturated. It's not even close. I am easily bringing in clients consistently. My students in the launch pad are bringing them in, and also my accelerators are bringing new clients on consistently. Once they figure out the system that I teach them, and they start to do it consistently, it's like you almost can't help but get clients because so many people want to hire virtual assistants. All right, so here's someone in Utah. Welcome from Utah. That's awesome. I haven't been to Utah in a long time, but I went to the Mormon, I'm going to not call it the right thing, but the big temple that's there. And I went to Salt Lake City, and I went to the Salt Lake. I've been in the Salt Lake. So welcome from Utah. This is when I was a little girl. So I did not start my virtual assistant business in the most ideal time of my life. I mean, looking back, it was, but I want to bring that up immediately because, no matter where we are, it's, someone saying Temple Square. Yes, that's where I was. I was in Temple Square. Exactly. I can see it so vividly, even though I was so young. So I didn't start my business in the most ideal time of my life. I was in the middle of getting divorced. I had this little delicious girl, Emily, who was 9 and such a snuggle muffin. I'm such a lucky mom. She's 19 now. This is when she was 9. And it was 10 years ago when I started my business. I had not been able to pay the mortgage for over a year. The mortgage company was being great. They're trying to work with me, but they're calling me on the phone. And as you can imagine, if I wasn't paying the mortgage, which is one of the most important things to protect, your home, I wasn't paying a lot of other things either. My credit cards were all maxed out. I didn't know where I was going to work. I didn't know where I was going to live. I didn't know how I was going to make money. I had no idea how I was going to get out of debt. All I knew is that I needed to figure it out because I wanted to take care of this little girl. It took me a long time to have her, and I had her when I was 40, and I didn't want her to be shuttled around all over the place. I wanted her to be at home and have some stability, especially going through, her family getting divorced. I really wanted that for her. I didn't have any sources of income. I didn't really have any big ideas. I just knew I had to figure it out. So I'd been an admin in the past. I'd had some experience. I went to secretarial school when I was 19 or 20 for a few months. And so I had an admin background. I'd been done, admin work, and I was an office manager years and years ago, like, oh my gosh, like 10 or longer than that, maybe 15 years before. So I kind of knew how offices worked, but that's really different from how working for, virtually and working for many clients versus having a job. So with the temping, I started to build up confidence. I don't know if everyone, because people I know are all over the world. Temping is where you work by the hour. You go into an office and you're usually helping on a special project that no one wants to do, like stuffing envelopes, or you're substituting for someone who's on vacation. You're sitting in their desk and helping whoever they're working with their work. Hey, Tony from Pittsburgh. Hello. So then I just started telling everybody what I was doing. And one of the dads at the school bus stop, it was funny, the dads were always there in the morning, I think, because they were on their way to work, and the moms would be there in the afternoon. And one of the dads had just left corporate. He had a great career, and he wanted to start his own business. He had an idea, and he asked me if I would come help him. So that was perfect because I didn't have a car. I lived in Boston. And I did not have a car on purpose. I just didn't have a car, and I could walk to work. So, and he lived at the end of the street where the bus stop was. So school bus stop. So I could work until it was time to go get Emily. And then I could just walk down the street and be there. So it was ideal. It wasn't virtual, but it was using my skills, and it was getting my confidence up, that someone valued me. I don't even remember how much he paid me an hour. But it was a fair rate. I'm sure it was fair, but I don't specifically remember. And so then I just started spreading the word, and I'm trying to figure out how I was going to make that happen. And then what happened next was I met Michael Katz. And for those of you who know me, I talk about him a lot. And he was someone that I had read his book about email newsletters like 8 years before. I sent him an email telling him how much I liked the book. He put it on his website as a testimonial. I had never done anything like that before. It was kind of strange that I was doing that, but I did. And I heard about him. I had taken a class about starting a business because I had an online retail business, and I took a class about, not that specifically, but how to run a business. And someone told me, get on his email newsletter list. And whenever I'm trying to do something new and someone else has experience, I follow what they say, to scope it out for myself, but I follow their advice. So what happened was 10 years ago, you could put on LinkedIn, I'm skipping part of it. So I was following him. One day I'm at a wedding. It's not even a wedding of my friend. It's a friend of a friend. And I'm there, and one of my friends runs across this, the reception, and she says, Michael Katz is here. I said, are you kidding me? She said, no. So we run over to the food line where he's standing with his wife, who probably thinks we are idiots because we're like, whoa, Michael Katz. And we talked for a few minutes. And the next day I connected with him on LinkedIn, which for whatever reason at that time seemed like this huge, bold move. I just didn't have any confidence. And I had him on such a pedestal because I'd read his book, because, he's a very successful solo professional. And so then the LinkedIn piece happened. After I linked in with him, you used to be able to send messages to people on LinkedIn, like a bulk, like to 50 people. So he sent a message to a group of people and it said, I need someone to help me with credit card processing online. And I totally knew how to do that because I had this online store. I remember when I saw the message on LinkedIn, I had just pulled into the driveway of my friend. And I just got this rush of adrenaline, like, I can do this. I can help him with this, and I had like a little confidence from working with Will. And so I messaged him back right then. I have an online store. I know how to set this up. I can help you. And he agreed. And that was amazing. And what we were doing was, he was affiliated with Constant Contact and we were doing a live event. So I helped him with the live event. That didn't really need any new skills because it's nothing more than really a party, right? And then I showed up and I sold his books and I, handled the registrations. So that was easy to do. So I did that. I met him in person at Constant Contact. And afterward we went and I think we got coffee or something. And I said, a lot of people couldn't attend this event because they're far away. What if we figured out how to offer webinars? And I'm not even sure if it was his idea or my idea. I think it was sort of like a explosion. We were both like, yeah, let's do this. I had no idea how to do it. And he knew that. And so I started doing a forum. We were able to make it very successful for him. He's still doing webinars now. And we did one last week. And they're lucrative, they're informative. He gets to connect with his people and I handle the whole thing. And it's not the content or the presentation, but everything else. And it's evolved over time. In fact, I should do a weekly webinar on how to do that. So basically what happened was, his clients started to see my work because he was inviting his clients to his webinars. And what he graciously still says at the beginning of every webinar, if you want to run a webinar like this for yourself, don't ask me how to do it. I have no idea. Ask Belinda. And people started asking me. And so what happened was, they started asking me to help them. And then it evolved over time. So it took a while. And, but by the second year, I had enough clients that I was making $100,000 a year. So I'm going to go into that a little bit more right now. So 10 years, again, bringing on, one or two clients here and there. Some of them were longer term. Some of them, I did a project and then they went away. But I've been with over, 200 clients. I've helped them, like I said, some in a big way, and I'm still doing it, and others just here and there as projects. And over those 10 years, my business, Rocket Girl Solutions, has made $1 million sitting in the chair I'm sitting in right now. And one of the main points I want to make here is that I'm not a unicorn. I didn't have a pile of money. I didn't have, this long runway of time where, I could be like, oh, I'm going to take the next 6 months to start my business. It was like the pedal had to hit the metal because I had to move. I had to sell my house. It was a kind of a mess. And so I just looked to the skills that I had already, which were, Microsoft Office, QuickBooks, which I don't do anymore for people, but I did it for Will. That's the last time I did it. And the first client. And I did things like I went to the Apple store and bought computers and shipped them, like not a lot of high tech stuff. And a lot of what I still do today is not that high tech. Some of it is, but I just want to dispel the myth that, that I just sort of walked into it. I sat down at my seat and, money just started pouring in, because that's really not how it happened. It happened one day at a time, learning lots of lessons and lessons that I still learn. We did a webinar yesterday on what to do when you make a mistake. I still make mistakes. I still sometimes don't know what to say. New situations come. But the reason I can sit here so confidently now is that it's been 10 years. I've had over 200 clients. almost everything that could happen or go wrong, I hope, already has, and I've worked through it, and I've survived it. And so now the answers come more easily to me because all I have to do is reach into my memory bank. I don't have to figure it out. I have to say, oh yeah, I already figured that out. This is it. So here's what my life looks like today. It's very different. Emily is 19. I live with Greg, who I adore. I have a life that I could not have imagined. I just, when everything was falling apart and piling up, I couldn't even breathe. I didn't have any creative juices. I just thought, what am I going to do? And then, I got into action and I just kept pushing and pushing and pushing. And now I live in a lovely town in Connecticut. I was in Boston before, which I loved. But I lived in a building. I have a backyard. We have 12 chickens that I love to take care of. My business is thriving, and I live with this lovely man. So from wherever you're starting in your VA journey, it can totally happen. And then I decided I wanted to pay it forward. After 10 years, I'm still a full-time VA, but I decided that, you know what, and I've wanted to do this for a long time, but I couldn't figure it out. Like I didn't know the right venue. And then finally, I found a mentor to help me bring all of this to you, because these are not skills that I use as a virtual assistant. These are skills that I've picked up and learned and studied in order to bring this information to you, because I'm really committed to that. So I started the VA Connection, which is a professional online community committed to connecting and educating virtual assistants all over the world. And I know a lot of you are watching from the Facebook group right now, but the reason I'm mentioning that is we're also streaming on YouTube and Periscope. So, I just want to let everyone know that this all comes together in a group. And right now we have about 11,000 members, people who want to be VAs, people who have been VAs for a while. And it's wonderful to see everyone connecting in community, helping each other. And then I have a couple of other ways that you can connect, one of which is called the VIP Club. And I'm going to talk about that on the very last slide and invite you to join me there if you are ready to take the next steps on your VA journey. All right, so let's jump in. One other thing, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat, interrupt me at any time. I really want to get your questions answered because this is about you, okay? This is about you. All right, so to level the playing ground, a virtual assistant provides administrative, technical, or creative assistance to clients. But instead of working full-time for one person or organization, you usually work virtually or at Starbucks, depending on where you are in the world. But I want you to see how broad this is, okay? So just the words technical, or so administrative, technical, or creative. That's like almost everything in the world, right? So keep that in mind when you're thinking that, oh no, I don't have the skills. You have the skills. There's some skill in some of that you have just by being a human being. Or if you've been a volunteer, if you've been in a different profession, but you know how to solve problems, or like a lot of people ask me if this would be good for teachers. I think this is perfect for people who used to be teachers because, you're organizing information, you're used to dealing with a lot of different personalities, you're good at, planning, hopefully, because I think teachers do a lot of planning. But there are a lot of professions that move into this, that, you can pivot into being a VA. Certainly, if you're an executive assistant or a personal assistant, other careers that would go, project managers, bookkeepers, there's tons of ways to go in here, and your clients are not going to ask you for the history of your life. It's very interesting. I can get hired in a short amount of time and nobody asks me, what did you do before? They don't look at my LinkedIn. This is one of those things where it's really just, can you help me with this like now or soon? And if you say yes, and you've been referred, in the way that I'm going to talk about in a little bit, people just want to get going. They're just, I sound confident. Can you help me with this? I can. They don't ask me for references. I think I've been asked for a reference I don't know, maybe twice in 10 years with all those people. They don't even always, most of them don't even want to know how I'm going to do it. They just want to know that I'm going to do it. I even, one of my clients this week, she asked me to set up 3 Zoom accounts. Like that's like anybody can do that, right? She gave me a credit card. She texted it to me. I set the Zoom accounts up. I sent the information over to the 3 people. Last night, she paid me for 45 minutes to show them how to use Zoom. She came with a list of questions, simple stuff, guys, like how to record, stuff that if you've been on Zoom at all, you think, it's one of those things that it's pretty straightforward stuff. And she asked me a question I didn't know. And I said, hold on. And I Googled it right there. She laughed. I laughed. It's like, that's how you find stuff, right? So don't be afraid of that. All right. So any questions about what a virtual assistant is? It's not just ClickFunnels and stuff that you don't even know what it is. All right. It's not that. It's a lot of different things. All right. So here's the 7 questions we're going to talk about. And again, any questions you have, jump in. All right. Are you ready to work on your own? Now, I'm just going to run through these, and then I'm going to I have a slide for each one of these, and we'll talk about it in depth. What do you need to get started? Where do you get clients? How much money can I earn? What training is required? Can I work part-time? And who hires virtual assistants? So those are the ones that we're going to talk about. And if one of those is your questions, we'll get to it. And if there's another question, jump in. Okay, let's start with this one because this is a biggie. Having a job and being a business owner are completely different. I don't have a resume. My LinkedIn is up to date though. I don't actually, it's interesting because I remember talking to somebody once and they were like, oh, I have to buy a computer. Oh, I have to buy a phone. Oh, yes, you have to buy your own software. You have to get set up. You need a desk. We're going to talk about that. You need the equipment. You need a good chair. We're going to talk about all that too. But really what you need is the mindset that you're not just a helper. You're a business owner. You have a business. You have a dedicated bank account. You have the mindset that you're in business. You set your prices. It's not a negotiation ever what you charge. So it's really shifting into the mindset of I own a business, not I'm just flapping out here, and that's a lot of what I teach in my courses in the VIP club is how to be a business owner, because you can Google how to use MailChimp and I can help you with that, but that's not at the crux of the problem. When we want to be, I don't want to say the problem, the challenge, the big giant thing in front of you, right? Because those are like the client will ask you one little question and you say, hold on, just like I did yesterday, 10 years in, and figure it out. But it's really how to run your business that's the tricky part. You have to be self-guided. And what that means is that you're willing to get up, walk down the hall, sit in your seat, and take care of the work. You really have to be able to say, okay, I want my business to be successful. I know these are the things that Belinda said I need to do, or information that from wherever, and that you're going to take that action, because without doing that, it doesn't happen. It's not like a job where you sit, you go to your work and your boss says, here, I need you to do these 10 things. Or they say, here, handle this project, give me a plan. It's really about being self-guided. And we're going to talk more about that as well. But every day, Monday through Friday, I get up, I take care of the chickens. I start working literally in my robe for about an hour. I get myself organized. I get some breakfast, take a shower, and jump back in. And I stay till the end of the day. Now, sometimes I need to leave for, I have to run an errand, but I really try to do that on the weekend, because this is my billable time and I want to make as much money as I can to support my family during my working hours. So I treat it, I don't want to say I treat it like a job, but I treat it like a business, okay? You have to think about how much risk you're willing to take. Now, it's funny because when I first started out, I thought I loved having my own business, but I was looking at like my brothers who have these big giant jobs, which I would never want ever, just because there's so much political stuff that I see, and travel is great, but traveling to Detroit on Tuesday and then Milwaukee on Wednesday and then going to Arkansas to see Walmart, that does not appeal to me at all. So I knew I wanted to be home for Emily, and you can't, I've never figured out how to do that. But I was a little envious of the 401ks and the health insurance and all of that. But it's funny because what I've seen since is that when you have a job, you have what I call a single point of failure called the boss. I've been laid off, right? That was a single point of failure. That was actually 9/11 but that's an example of the pandemic. 9/11, it's not the same, but it's a big giant thing that changes people's lives. And what happened was I was a technical project manager in the IT department of this business. It's called Digitas. It's this giant company. And there were 9/11 happened. Our clients were United Airlines. I don't even know, but a lot of travel stuff. I can't remember because it was so long ago. But the thing is that there were no internal technical projects, and 1,200 people got laid off in one day. Like, boom. So it wasn't personal. It was just what I provided was no longer needed. And I've seen this with friends and family and people I care about just in one swoop. They go to work in the morning and they're home at noon and it's done. And then there's this whole process that has to happen because they need to find one person and compete with all these people getting jobs, to get that job again. And then it can happen again. So I actually have turned my thinking to think that this is much less risky because I have right now, I think I have 42 clients. If half of them went away, it would not be my happy place, but I could replace that. I know what to do to replace that. So, and if half of the right clients went away, the ones that we don't do as much work, I probably wouldn't even, not 42, 20 of them, I might not even notice for a while. So that's the thing about the risk. Now, with health insurance, I remember it's expensive, like no kidding. And I provide health insurance for me and Emily. And, if you're living with someone or married, you can often get on their plan. But what I remember complaining about this to Michael Katz, my friend I was telling you about before, my client, who I still work with. And he said, just make more money and pay for it. And when he said that, he was just so matter of fact about it. I thought, oh, okay, so I can worry about it. I can complain about it. I can get mad about it, or I could just make more money and pay for it. And so even though that seems maybe silly or simple, that's what I did. I just thought, okay, I need more clients because I need to pay for my own health insurance. And while it's not my favorite check to write, or whatever transfer to make every month, I do feel some pride in the fact that I can provide that for myself. And this is the big thing about between a job and having your own business. You can decide how much money you want to make. You don't have to wait for Mr. Boss Guy to give you a 3%, raise or whatever bonus. You just raise your rates. And we're going to talk about that too. And I don't mean to oversimplify this. And the truth of it is you need a ton of courage to do this, but that's the thing you need the most. And so we're going to talk about that too. All right. Any questions before I go on about working on your own? Okay. Let's talk about what you need to get started. The very first thing is a dedicated workspace. You need a desk, a good computer, and you need a good phone. You'll need a Zoom account, a decent camera. Although, let me tell you, so this is what's so interesting. Since the pandemic, I'm on camera all day long. Before that, I was never on camera. Like, not even for webinars was I on camera. But now the whole world has shifted, and I actually liked it better when I could have my hair piled on top of my head and a t-shirt that said something, which I could still do. But I feel like I need to bring a level of professionalism, because what I look like is now part of my product. So I am trying to pull it together. But you do need a dedicated workspace. Now, I have worked for years. I worked on an IKEA dining room table, and I guess it's been a year now. Greg bought me IKEA standing desks, which I love. I'm 5'10", and the desks are always too low. So even though I don't stand that much, the desk is at the right height. So I'm not like slumping over. So someone, thank you guys. Your hair looks pretty and I love your shirt. Thank you. Thank you. That's very sweet. Yeah, I love this shirt too. It's really long, so you can wear it like with leggings. It's cool. So I've worked in the corner of my living room. I've worked in a bay window in my dining room. I've worked recently. I worked in a corner of our bedroom. We have it's kind of a big bedroom, and in the middle there are closets that separate this like little dressing room. It's kind of a little odd space, and my desk was just as wide as that, looking out a window. I have my very first office of my whole life right now. I got it in March because everybody went to college, and I thought, holy cow, this bedroom is empty. And when the kids come, like Greg has 4 boys and I have Emily. Emily has her own room. We have a fold-out couch. We have other places. So I just said, heck, I'm trying to earn a living. And we have this room. I'm taking it over. So for the first time ever, we painted it. It's really pretty. I'm decorating it right now. I'm hoping to do that between Christmas and New Year's. And anyway, but it doesn't have to be any wider than your desk, but it has to be dedicated. And you also, we're going to talk about, I think we're going to talk about this, but I'll mention it now. You need the supplies you need right in front of you, right? Walking down the hall to get to the junk drawer, to get the scissors, you need everything right there. And you also need to explain to your family that they are not to touch anything on your desk ever. And I joke and I call it my money-making cockpit, which is a joke, but not really. And they have full respect for that. Full respect. And so the next thing, you need to be able to talk about what you do. And in my Launchpad class, we spend an entire hour just on this and a little bit more. We spend an hour learning about it, and then we spend time each week practicing it. Here's what I mean. So you go to like a networking event, Zoom, wherever, and someone says, what do you do for work? And everybody treats this like a surprise, like a total surprise. Like no one's ever asked them that before. So then what happens is they start talking. So 2 things happen. One, either they're in corporate and they say something like, I'm the vice president of I don't know what, and no one will understand, and I'm really important. Okay, so that happens, right? They use all these words and you have no idea. The other thing that happens, and I think it probably happens to people like us, it certainly happened to me, was that I would just start talking. Well, I help people with this and I help people with that and blah, 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 blah. And the person is like backing up, like, I gotta go. You can also hear that happen on the phone. When I first started out, I would do these 30-minute free consultations. I still do them. They are really important. And what I would do is I would start trying to convince them that they should hire me. That was so unattractive, people. That was really unattractive. So I started to sort of hear when I lost their attention, because I was trying to convince them. Like if they would say, can you do something with PowerPoint? Instead of saying, yeah, I love PowerPoint. What can I help you with? I would start telling them the history of PowerPoint, right? So you don't want to do that. So here's what I say when someone says, what do you do? I say, my business is called Rocket Girl Solutions. I work with solo professionals. This is my niche. Solo professionals and very small businesses. I act as their virtual assistant. I help them with all the back end stuff of their businesses, like updating their websites, sending out email newsletters, and online calendaring or online scheduling. And then I stop talking. Now my services page is like so long. Go over to Rocket Girl Solutions, click on services. You'll see it's really long, but I'm telling them 3 things, and I'm choosing those 3 things because people know what that means. They know what website updates are, and everyone needs that. Email newsletters are a big part of my business. People love, help with those. And then I say, managing your calendar. I might say presentations, but the point is it's like, I save creative women, entrepreneurs time so they can get back to the work they love. I have no idea what that means, right? So you want to be really, really specific. And that's why we spend a whole hour on it. So think about it ahead of time, practice it. I say the same thing every time. I've been saying the same thing ever since I figured out what it was I was supposed to say. Okay. But the stop talking part is critical. And then that gives them a second to like digest it and then ask you a question. Okay. So that's really important. The next thing is you have to be clear about your pricing. And the reason, and again, each one of these things is actually a 1 hour webinar that I've either have given or probably will give. And they're all in the vault, in the VIP Club vault. And I'm going to tell you about the VIP Club at the end. But it's what happens is all of these, I do a weekly webinar every week for an hour. People get their questions answered. The replays are available for an hour, but then they go into the vault where they live forever and you have access to them if you're a member. There's probably, oh my gosh, a couple about being articulate. There's at least 3 that I can think of about being clear about your pricing. So 3 hours. But I'm going to give you the high level today. All right. The reason you need to be clear is because if you go into a store, the grocery store, and you want to buy some bananas and they don't know how much they are, and they have to go back and they have to talk to their manager and they have to think about it, and you can tell they're uncomfortable, and they don't really want to give you a price. You're like, I just need the bananas, people. Like, let's go, And so you don't want to put any, if someone's all the way to talking about how much it costs, you don't want to put any barriers in place about that. So you need to decide how your pricing is going to work. Mine is really simple. So here's what I do. And there's a course about this too. It's called the Rocket Girl Debit Card Course. All this stuff you can find at the vaconnection.com or in the big Facebook group, the Virtual Assistant Connection. So people prepay my time in 5 or 10 hour chunks. I call it the Rocket Girl Debit Card. My business is called Rocket Girl Solutions. The time is good for a year. So it has an expiration date, but for a year. And people can use it in any increment they want. Some clients buy a debit card every 2 weeks. Some buy a debit card a couple times a year. Some people buy a debit card. We work on a project together and then we're done. Very simple. So I don't have tons of options. In fact, I have a third option, which is to buy 1 hour, which I don't even mention when I'm just talking to someone. I want to keep it simple. I tell them how much it is an hour. I say, it's my current rate is if you buy 10 hours, it's $90 an hour or $900. If you buy 5 hours, it's $500 or $100 an hour. I don't even make them do the math. I'm like, this is what it is. And people have just recently, in fact, I just wrote a newsletter. I think it's going to come out on Monday. Someone said to me in a 30-minute discussion, free consultation, they said, that's on the high end. And I said, it is. And I stopped talking. I didn't tell her why. It is on the high range. And we didn't end up working together. And that's totally fine because in the same week, I got another client who literally said, okay, that sounds good. Right? So don't try to be everything to everybody. And if you are, like, how many clients can you handle anyway? Maybe more than you have now. And I get that, but really be clear about your pricing. Okay. And if you're in VIP, go over in the vault. If you're in the free online classroom, the virtual assistant, click units at the top. There's so much information up there, you guys. You can't even believe the hours of video that's in there. Okay. So you got to be clear about it. All right. So let's talk about where you get clients. You literally get clients everywhere. Oops, I have something called the sprinkling method. Okay, so the sprinkling method is where you okay, let me back up. The way to get clients is to keep in touch with the people you already know, and there's a whole methodology to that, and there's lots of videos in the vault about that, and also in the unit section of the free group. I have never. 99.999% of my clients are referrals. My clients are like a dream. They're nice. They're respectful. They pay me. They say, do you have time to do this? And they say, oh my gosh, I forgot to do this. Can you please squeeze it in? If I can, I say yes. And they send me like a whole paragraph about how much they love me. These are the people who are paying me these high rates. And what I want you to know is that there are lots of them out there. There are currently, from the people that I know, 42 of them. There have been 200 of them. Have all of them been a good fit? No, because that's a whole other thing, getting clear on who you want to work with and who you don't. But so here's how the sprinkling method works. You get clear about your pricing. You get clear about talking about what you do, and then you tell every single person you know. And there's a whole ton of ways to do that. One that I use is the email newsletter. I sent out, when I started my business, every 2 weeks, an email newsletter that showcased what I do. So I might write an email newsletter on how to clean out your inbox, or why I love Acuity, which is an online scheduler, or 10 things to know. I haven't written about this, but this is a good topic. 5 things to make your PowerPoint presentation better. Now, when I am sprinkling, I am not asking people to hire me. I'm not even asking for referrals, unless it's a natural, someone says, oh, how can I help you? And I might say, if you know anybody that needs help, just let me know. But it's nothing more than that. It's just about showcasing your expertise. It's also about showcasing who you are, that you're nice, that you're approachable, that you have confidence, and that you can help them. So that's the sprinkling method, sort of in a nutshell. And I have a whole system for this. And there's a spreadsheet that might be in the free online classroom too. Look over in the file section. It's an Excel spreadsheet. But really repeatedly telling people about what you do, like over and over and over, and not letting up. Now, I don't have like a marketing day. And the reason I call it sprinkling is because it's sort of like, it's actually every time I go down to let the chickens out at night, I take cracked corn and I'm like flinging it, and they're running around looking for it, right, to eat it. It's kind of like that. I don't even really track where people come from. I just know that between my newsletter, staying connected with people on LinkedIn, Facebook, sending keep in touch emails. There's going to be a newsletter about that in the next couple of weeks. I've written it. I'm just, it's not done yet, but how to stay in touch with people, really important. So you just keep sprinkling yourself wherever you can every day, and then people will, I also make the free 30-minute consultation. There's a blog post about that too, on the VA Connection. And there's also, I'm sure, videos in the Rocket Girl Show section about that. And, I just lost my train of thought. Hold on. Sprinkling. Anyway, it'll come back. So you just want to do this all the time. Oh, I know what it was. So this is what happens. I have the link to my free 30-minute consultation in my newsletter, in my email signature, every page on my website. People will click, they'll get onto my calendar to talk about working with me, and they'll say, I promise you, this happens so many times. I've been thinking about working with you for a year. I'm ready. I'm not convincing them. And then they say, do you have time? Can you work with me? Now, that doesn't always happen like that, but the best clients, because of all this. Now, in the VIP club, which I'm going to tell you about later, there's a course that's a bonus. It's called the email newsletter the Done For You email newsletter system. In it, I explain how to do a newsletter. I give you the template. I show you how to do it for clients so you can start building a revenue stream right away. That's how I started doing my first client, email newsletters. Actually, not my first client, my first Rocket Girl client, after I named my business and I put it out there. And then, the other thing is, because I know the writing is hard, I've already written 12 newsletters that are professionally edited, and they're in the course too. So if you're looking for a thing to do, there's 2 things. One, join VIP and check that out. Learn how to do a newsletter. The other is go to the top of the free Facebook group. There's in the announcements, there's a video called How to Get Great Clients. I explain the sprinkling method for a whole hour. Okay, so check that out. All right, so let's talk about how much money you can earn. So that depends on your skills, but even more, it depends on your confidence, because you have to be able to say to people when they ask you, yes, I can do that, or I'll figure that out for you. And it's really about your tone of voice. Now, I am, you won't believe it right now, but I'm an introvert. I need to go inside myself to get it, like, my energy, and to recharge myself. After an event or a networking event, I really need to just go type something, or just dive into some work, and that relaxes me, which is why I think I like newsletters, and why I like PowerPoint, because you just go into the project. In fact, I quit a job, a very well-paying job, because I got promoted and they wanted me to start talking to senior executives in networking settings about courses that we were selling for a lot of money. And I didn't want to do that. I so did not want to go network all day. I was so uncomfortable. I was always the one sort of talking to the people that I already knew about nothing related to work, maybe my coworkers, and I was not meeting people. I'm still not that comfortable. You know what? It's not like, yay, I'm going to go to meet people, but I go to the meetings and when we were meeting in person, and I do like seeing my friends and I do like talking to them and connecting. And I know I need to, talk to other people, which I do. But every time I get out of the car, I go, okay, here we go. Like I give myself a little talk. So I just want to make sure that I'm not like the person in the middle of the room of the party ever. That's just not who I am. So the confidence was a big thing. And the way that I got the confidence was once I figured out how to talk about what I was doing in my pricing, I practiced it. And I walk every day, and I try to, and I would put my earbuds in my phone, plug it into my phone, and I would talk about what I do. I would talk about my pricing, and I would get really good at it. So confidence is key, and you just have to fake it for a while. Every time I raised my rate, I thought, okay, this is the end. Like I've hit the end. So let me tell you my story. All right. So let me pause for a second. Any questions before I go into the money story? Okay. So when I started out, I didn't know any better, which was kind of a good thing. And I charged $50 an hour. The reason I charged $50 an hour was that I was in corporate at the time and I made over $100,000. It was about $50 an hour. 60 seemed kind of a weird number. 50 seemed like a huge number to me. But I did it anyway. So I'm just trying to think of so I charged $50 an hour. And the reason is I figured they were hiring my whole brain, right? They were hiring my whole life. They were hiring all of my experience. I had no experience as a VA, but I did have all this other stuff, which actually is like this much compared to what I know now, but I had this much. And so I decided that I was going to charge $50 an hour. I put it on my website. And the reason I put it on my website was because I was a director in this corporate environment and made, whatever. I didn't want people to think I was a consultant and I was going to charge $300 an hour. So I actually put it on my website for the opposite reason many people might think. And what happened was I didn't get any tire kickers, and I didn't get many people wanting to negotiate with me because it was clear. And I wasn't that comfortable talking about it. So I put it on my website. And so now if someone's checking me out, they know ahead of time what's happening. Every time I raised my rate, I raised it on the clients who were new. So that's how I tested it. So I had, maybe 10 clients at $50 an hour. That's cooking along. We're good. And then I raised my rate to 60. I get, more clients here. Some of these go away. The $50 go away because we're done. Get a steady stream of 60s. And then I raised it to 70. And I did this all the way up to $120 an hour. At $120 an hour, I did not have the clients that I wanted. They were talking fast. They were nervous about working with me. They would give me work and take it away. Like I wasn't a partner with them, and I didn't like that. So I looked at my list. I looked at where my favorite people were who were reliably giving me work, and it was $90 an hour. So I lowered my rate, and a lot of people might think, "Oh my gosh, that's so embarrassing." I did have kind of a moment of that, but I just thought, this is the right decision, because at $120 an hour, I brought on 26 clients, but they weren't working with me, so I was making less money. So I'd rather work more, make more at a lower rate. So that might not seem like it makes sense, but that's how it worked out. And then from that point, that was 2016. I haven't changed my pricing. I like the pricing; it works, and I'm able to make a 6-figure income, and that works for me. And I can decide, if I want to bring more clients on, or, what I want to do, or if I want going forward. Now, one of the things that we don't talk about very much, and I need to add it to this presentation, is you do have to do some calculating. You have to figure out, if you want to make $50,000 a year, how many hours at what rate do you have to work? And you need to figure out, you need to make sure you're working those hours. So let's say in order to hit your number, you have to bill, and billing is different from sitting in your seat. Billing is, focused work. And the most I can ever do is 35 to 37 hours a week. Other than that, it's like I'm a train wreck the next week, and it's just too much. So 35, 37 hours a week times your rate for the week times 50, right? Because you're maybe going to take 2 weeks vacation or get sick or something, take a couple days off. That's how much money you can make. So every week I look and see, where am I? How many hours have I billed? How many hours have I billed? Am I going to hit my number? And so sometimes people, they don't want to focus on the money. So you don't have to focus on that. Just get your rate where it needs to be, and then focus on how many hours you're billing every week. And that's your target, the billable hours. Okay. So any questions about money? You really do get to decide. You can work part-time and make a part-time income. I've always needed to work full-time and have a full-time income. And then over time, you'll raise your rates carefully on your other clients and get them all at the same rate. That's a little dance itself. Okay. All right. But do that math. All right. Let's talk about training. Okay. So the one thing I want you to do is, if you're not sure if you have skills to be a virtual assistant, there's 2 places to go. One is go over to the vaconnection.com. There's like a aqua bar right at the top, and it says download the ultimate virtual assistant money making task list. So go get that. There's 12 pages in there, tons of information all about being a VA. Like it's like pages and pages of things you can do. The other thing you can do is go over to my website, Rocket Girl Solutions, and click on my services page. Take that page, copy it into a Word document, modify it. Take out the stuff you don't know how to do, put in stuff that I don't know how to do, that you know how to do, but start with that. You don't have to start with the blank sheet. It's too hard, right? So start with one of those and make a sheet, make a list. And then the other thing is the training that I think is really important is the training of running a business. And so again, that can be found. There's a course that's starting. I'm just looking at my notes here on my desk. We're starting the new Launchpad January 14th, and that's a 12-week program. It's actually the last time I'm going to offer it. There's going to be something new later, but a 12-week program. 8 people with me in a room, 12 weeks in a row, and I teach exactly this in detail. How to run a business, and that's the hard part, I think, more than anything. So really thinking about it as a business and setting your systems up. A lot of people want to know. So let me tell you one more thing about that. If you go to the VA Connection programs, I kind of left you hanging there. The VA Connection programs. The VA Connection, click on programs, and you'll see an icon there, and you can learn all about that. There's a whole page of information, and I'm going to start talking about it soon, in the group. You can definitely work part-time. I'm speeding up here because we're running out of time, but consider the type of work. If you have a client who wants you to manage his calendar all day or watch his email, working part-time is not easy. But if you have someone who wants you to work on a presentation, or they want you to update their website, or things that are not time sensitive, or where there's like 24 hours can go by. Like I have plenty of things that people give me on Monday and they need it on Wednesday. You can work part-time doing that. However, there are other things that just need to be done all day, and I'm sitting at my desk all day, and so when they come in, I handle them. So consider the type of work. The other thing is you need to set expectations. So tell your people, I'm working from 9 until 2. I'm working, Saturday mornings. I have a job and I'm working, in the early afternoon. Let them know so that if they send you an email at 8 o'clock in the morning and you don't answer them until 5, they don't think you've disappeared, because that's a thing, right? So we want to set the expectations. And then you want to set a consistent schedule. You want people to know when they're going to hear from you, when you're going to be working. So be sure to set a consistent schedule. I have a client who has another VA as well as me, and that VA does things like 3 times a week. And my client could never find her. And she's always like, she used to come to the office, and now because of the pandemic, she's working virtually. And so Barbara, my client, and her client, she's frustrated because she doesn't know what to expect. And a lot of people working with a virtual assistant is new and they're nervous. So the more you can do to really let them know what's going on and communicate, the better. All right, who hires virtual assistants? Seriously, anybody who understands what we do. But so small business owners, authors, financial planners, coaches, consultants, nutritionists, recruiters, real estate agents. So many people, right? So many people. And me, I have hired VAs in the past, not to do my Rocket Girl work. I do all of my Rocket Girl client work myself, but I've needed help on onboarding my clients or, doing my newsletter because I want to stay billable as much as possible. So that's really the deal. Everywhere you go. Now you want to network with entrepreneurs. Networking with VAs is great because I love what happens in our online community and how people are hanging out together and really helping each other. That's awesome. But where you're going to get clients is hanging out with VAs. So look for places to do that. And again, that whole sprinkling method that I want you to look at in that video, how to get great clients. All right. So these are the questions that we focused on today. If you have any others, please put them in the chat now. I'm happy to answer them. And what I want to do real quick while you're doing that in our last couple of minutes is tell you about the VIP Club in case you don't know about it. So the VIP Club is a small membership community. It's a paid membership community with about 150 members. And it's like this tight, fabulous place. In a little bit, we're going to have one of the benefits is we have twice a month, we have Q&A. The members submit their questions ahead of time, and I review them, and I prepare, and I answer their questions. We're in Zoom. It's usually about 15, 20 people are in there, and they get their other questions answered too. So let's say they ask a question, and I answer it, and then they have another comment. I'm right there. We talk for an hour. It's very relaxed. It's a lot of fun. And today we have, I think, 6 or 7 questions, and some of them are. One of the members, Nicole, she said, "Can you review my website?" I'm like, "You bet." So we're going to go through her website, so you could get your website critiqued. You can do all kinds of stuff. We have a private Facebook group. I'm in it all day, answering questions. Everyone's very helpful. I never have been in a Facebook group before where people really get to know each other, and it's been awesome. I look forward to it. We have an accountability challenge twice a year. And what happens is it's a month long. People choose goals. It's a little competitive. There are points and prizes and all kinds of stuff. And people really get stuff done. So the next one's probably going to be in April. And then we have the Vault. I've talked about the Vault a few times. The Vault is a place where all of the recordings go. So I do a weekly webinar every week. I think we've done probably 35. We do it every week, and we started in May, so however many weeks that is, and they all go in the Vault. So you can look. I should actually. There's one on LinkedIn. There's one on Buffer. There's how to fire a client. There's how to get a new client. There's how to set up your business. Lots of information in the Vault. All of my checklists are in there. Everything that I've got. The other thing is people ask me to help them to find a VA, and I have a place where they can apply right on the website for a VA. I don't get paid for that. I just pass it along to the VIP Club. I just do a copy and paste of that application, and we have a special password protected website just for the VAs, and I put them in there and alert them. And a couple of people have found jobs, which is great. And then the Done For You email newsletter course I talked about earlier, that is currently a bonus, and it's $35 a month. So if you want to join us and check it out, I'd love to have you. Coming up today, again, is the the Q&A a little bit later today. We're having a party tomorrow. I think it's at 11 o'clock. Once a month, we have a party. We all get together and we just talk, and we get to know each other. And I usually bring some kind of slumber party-ish questions, which is fun. And we get to know each other. So you guys, I'm about to sign off here. Any other questions? I'm just going to pause for a minute. There's a little lag, I think. Okay. Well, no matter where you're watching this from, if you're watching the replay, if something comes up later and you have a question, just tag me in the comments. I'll be sure to come back and answer. You are welcome. This is such a pleasure. I love helping people figure out if this is for you. If this is a good next step for you. It's been so good for me. Oh, here's someone on Periscope. That's awesome. Awesome. And here's someone else. Thank you. It's been fantastic. Good. I'm really glad. Being a VA has been wonderful for me. I feel in control of my life from that place of being, really in a bad place. And I've been able to be here for my daughter. I've been able to move to Connecticut to be with Greg without really missing a beat because my clients are all virtual, and work with wonderful people who I get to help all day long. I mean, that's really the thing, is I love helping people, and that's what my work is all day. And it's very rewarding, and I'd love to help you on your journey. So thanks for coming. I appreciate it. And I'll see you in the Virtual Assistant Connection. Bye.